All right, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and today's a pretty exciting day for myself because I am going back to my roots. I'm going to be working on a EVO Softail for a change. I've owned quite a few of these things in the past. My dad's owned a ton of them in the past. He's actually got a couple still. I'm having a blast with the FXRs. I love the FXRs. Obviously this channel has been filled with FXR content, not just the bikes we work on, but the events we go to. I'm running around Wheels Through Time, just trying to find the one FXR that's there. Going to other events and just picking out the FXRs. But truly, I love these things. These old EVO Softails. There was a lot of cool models, a lot of cool paint schemes, decals, and this one's no exception. So if you haven't seen this bike in the background, this is actually Justin's father's 1997 FatBoy that he bought brand new right here in Arkansas. This bike unfortunately came to Justin's possession because his father is no longer with us. So this bike was handed down to Hudson. And before Hudson gets it, we're actually going to do a few things to it, kind of make it cool, but we're not going to cut the bike up at all or take away from what it is. Everything that we're taking off this bike will get boxed up, will get kind of put to the side. But for now, for the time being, they want to kind of have fun with it, enjoy it, and that's what we're going to do. So the bike's been with Justin now for about a year, actually a little over a year, and he just hasn't had the time to do it. I do have the time. I'm not machining parts. I'm not, doing whatever. My frame is at powder coat. My motor is still disassembled, waiting me to pull the trigger on what I'm gonna do with that. So I have time, and what better time than right now to actually get this bike situated and sorted for him. And I'm excited. I'm really excited. Let's give you guys a little look at the bike, kind of give you a little history of the FatBoy, and kind of go over some of the things that we're gonna be doing to it. So this bike right here is a 1997 FatBoy. This is the original paint, pretty much. I would say this end of the bike, that's how they come stock. The solid wheel. This isn't the original seat, but it does have a 2-up seat. These bikes are very kind of stripped down. It doesn't come with saddlebags. It doesn't come with a engine guard. It doesn't come with the passing lamps. The front fender on this bike from the factory was very slim. These bars aren't factory, but it did come with some very low, different angle shaped bars. No backrest from the factory. Just a very nice, down and dirty, clean bike. So this bike was introduced in 1990. The very first model of this motorcycle was called the Gray Ghost. That's kind of what they nicknamed it because it came with an actual grayish silver frame that matched the tins. The motor was done in what some would consider blonde, which means it's just the silver, kind of like this, just cast silver, sometimes referred to as blonde. Obviously these wheels, these solid disc wheels, were factory for the FatBoy. And in 1990, it was just a solid color, one option only, no pinstripe, just a very nice and clean bike. Obviously in 1991, that's when they started adding pinstripe to the paint schemes. The motor went black, the frame went back to black. The seat and everything else still stayed the same from 1990 into the later years. I think most notably on this bike is its time spent on the silver screen. I think when most people look at this bike or they think about the FatBoys, they're instantly drawn to Terminator 2, which debuted I believe it was a 91, could be a 92, but FatBoy that Arnold Schwarzenegger's character rode throughout the movie. Difference in that bike to this bike is that the pinstripe color, the decal where the gold is would have been silver, and then the pinstripe would have just been orange and red. That color combination on the black went from 91 to about 95, and then in 96, it went to this burgundy and gold. And obviously there's a few other things that have been changed on this bike: the air cleaner, the exhaust, the seat. They added a backrest, added the passing lamps. Justin has already added or mocked up the front wheel and the fender, and that's what we're going to go over today. We're going to go over what exactly this fender is, what these wheels are, why this is on here, and some of the other things that we're going to be doing to this thing. All right, to kind of show you guys what's going on already, Justin already has mocked this bike up with the 21-inch front wheel and fender that he picked up from Torch Industries. Torch Industries is a company out in Phoenix, Arizona, I believe they are. They've built in a lot of incredible kind of that Cholo VICLA style bikes, but with more of a older school twist to them. So they use a lot of shovel heads and pan heads and things like that. But they also do mess with the EVO Softails, and that's what these fenders are for. These are actually a production line of fenders. So I think on a lot of their custom bikes, everything's handmade and shaped and everything. These things are in production. You can reach out to them, order a set for yourself. But this is how they come. They're already pre-drilled. The rear fender is sitting over there. It's already pre-drilled. It should go on with no issues. but we're going to just verify and everything before it goes to the paint. I think Justin's much like myself. I don't care for the 60 and the 80 and the 100 spoke wheels. I think they're just a little too much, and I like the classic clean look of just a nice 40 spoke wheel. So 21 3.5 on the front, 18 3.5 on the rear, 130 width tire. I think it's a 130/70 on the rear, and like a 120. I don't even know what the sidewall on this one is. I don't see the labeling on there, but most notably, the bike needs to be lowered. So to complete this look, we need to get it on the ground. And we're not going to do it with air. We're just going to do a static drop on it. We're trying, like I said, we're trying to keep the budget, overall budget on this bike really down, because this bike isn't like one of his main bikes. This Hudson may only ride it a few times. Justin's probably only going to ride it a few times. More than anything, this is just going to be kind of a conversation piece, something nice in the garage. And we don't really want to put like a ton of parts, a ton of money at it. So we're going to try to go through this bike together, figure out some cost efficient ways to get the look, get the stance, tie everything in without going tens of thousands of dollars into debt. And like I said, maybe at the end of this video, maybe we'll kind of break down the budget and what it took to take a stock FatBoy. Because one thing really quick on the FatBoys, they're very inexpensive right now. You can find a really nice, clean, low mileage FatBoy somewhere in the $4,500 to $5,500 range, which is mind-boggling to me. As far as paint goes, we're just going to be painting the fenders black. The tanks, we're going to keep the original paint on the tanks and just carry that to the fenders. The fenders will just be black. The local shop's just going to paint them black. And then hopefully the next time we run into either Jeremy or Monty Roach, we'll get them to add the pinstripe in like it's on the tank to the fenders and kind of tie it all in a little bit more. But I think in today's video, what we're going to do is we need to get spacers made. So with these wheels, these are seal bearing wheels, and we're going to go over that whole explanation again. We need to get spacers made, and we need to get everything mocked up on the rear end, so I just know where we're at on the bike, what parts we need to order, and yeah, so it just makes for an easier install. All right, so real quick, unlike a modern Softail, kind of your M8 Softail, you can't just remove these two screws down here on your fender struts and get the whole fender off as one unit. The frame actually has a frame horn that goes behind this chrome cover, so you actually still have to physically remove this entire cover to get your fender off. There's a 9/16 bolt head on the back side that you're going to grip. You're going to hold that, and then you're just going to spin all this stuff off. What we need to do is I'm going to put some tape on here to kind of protect this fender so we don't scratch it taking it off. But we need to get the sissy bar off. Let's try to get these tail lights off, or these turn signals off. We'll get the tail light disconnected. The harness is just right over here. Get all these bolts out. So let's get some tools together, and we'll pick back up as I am pulling all this stuff loose. Yeah, let's do that. It was kind of kicking my ass a little bit. So this right here, this forward bolt would be your little seat strap, if you will, for your rear passenger, you know, little grab handle or whatever. So it'd be a bolt that would come through, and then there'd be a jam nut on it. And then the Harley Davidson would put like a decorative acorn nut on the very end. So there'll be acorn nuts along this when it would come through. And the way that he had these on there with the red Loctite, as you can see inside there, man, I just couldn't get it. It was just spinning, and no matter what I was doing. So kind of kicked my butt a little bit. As far as the rear turn signals, you saw we just depinned the factory harness. That way we can pull the wires completely out. This gives you an idea of stock height with these fenders. Now this still follows the same curvature as the stock, but when it gets about right here, the stock one would kind of start to kick out. This one pulls around a little bit more, and I got this little pole to pick up on. It was the holes, you know, you got a little bit of play, but I want to put that on there. But what I want to really do, I want to lower this thing. I want this bike sitting lower so I know how far up this is going to touch or tuck. Let's pull these rear shocks out. Basically what you're just going to do, you got a bolt here, And then there's a bolt in the forward part. I don't know if I can get the right there. Those need to come out. And then we'll be able to remove these shocks out from underneath it. And then I already have a set of shocks that I took to Andy's. We put some lowering links. I'll explain exactly what the lowering link does on a Softail. We'll get those things installed so we can get this wheel sucked up in the fender some more. And we'll also put the 18 on there. And let's see what all that looks like. If we need to slot these holes a little bit to maybe get the fender to lean, you know, pick up the rear of it just a little bit, and I don't know, we're gonna mess with it. It's part of customizing. Let's get these shocks out and let's get the other shocks in. All right, sorry for the mess up here. We don't have much of a workbench since there's stuff everywhere. These are the shocks I just took out of the bike. Basically the way the Softail works, the shock's underneath, and as it goes up, there's actually a coil spring here that compresses against its body as this extends. So it's like a reverse engineering. There's a gas shock in there. The gas shock, the way that it's valved, will actually pull instead of push. And yeah, so there's a coil spring wound up in here. Now you can adjust the weight limits and put stiffer springs and different things like that inside, but this one that we're using is all OEM stock except for I added this. So this is an adjustable heim joint. Basically you can run this in and out as high or low as you want the bike. Longer means the bike's going to go lower because you're actually pushing the swing arm up. If you want the bike lowered an inch, you don't necessarily move this out an inch because geometry and math and everything, whatever it is at this point, by the time it gets all the way back here to where the axle's at, it's going to be quite a bit more. So we're going to set this thing, I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. You want to stay safe. You want to make sure there's still plenty of threads inside here. I think this thing is threaded to about this point or so. So I'm not going to go too far out, but this thing sucked almost all the way in. It's pretty much stock. So right now I have I'll probably have about ½ an inch of threads showing, which will probably translate into an inch or so on the bike. Set it there. We'll put the 18-inch wheel on the bike, and then we'll mock that fender back up and just kind of see where everything looks. All right, kind of got everything mocked up. I kind of got the wheel sitting. I'm looking at the marks from where the old spacers were at, rubbing. So this should be about where the wheel sits. The main thing I need to do is I need to get this back into the fender. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to we'll make a stencil off the original fender, transcribe it to this fender. That way I can get this thing to sit in there the way it's supposed to be. And then I want to sit the seat on it because Justin's going to have the original seat, or the seat that was on the bike, recovered by his buddies over there at Renegade Auto. So I want to make sure that the seat pan still flows wherever we bolt this, because this very last hole is not drilled yet. Another big thing we got to do, these wheels, as you can tell, are seal bearings. So we're going to have to modify everything, because this is a genuine EVO style Timken bearing wheel, and then this is going to be a sealed bearing. The bolt pattern and everything's exactly the same. It's 11.5 inch outside diameter, but when you overlap these two rotors together, there's I think it's like 20 thousandths, 30 thousandths, something like that, difference in the bore sizing, which means the pulley is going to be the same way. So Justin's going to have to machine out the backside of this pulley to allow for the larger diameter. Plus, we're going to have to figure out brake rotors on this bike. So we're going to bolt the rotor on here. We'll get this caliper set up, and then we got to measure our spacers so Justin can cut the spacers. We got to get the wheel centered. There's still quite a bit of work to do, so it's getting pretty late. I'm going to go ahead and cut this, have this 100% ready, have this fender completely mocked on, and then tomorrow, or here in a few moments, we're going to pick the camera back up. You guys will see this thing not permanently, but permanently mocked up with this thing recessed in, sitting nice and clean, and then we can really start digesting what we're going to do, because I'm excited. This thing is looking, man, it looks so tough. That 18-inch wheel on the back really complements everything super nice. It sucks to even put tail lights and everything on the back side, because you know, I feel like that's going to ruin it. We're going to put a regular traditional round breather back on it. We're going to clean up some of this stuff, get some of this other kind of, like these grips off. We'll just put some regular grips, just make it look super, super cool. Sorry if this video also ain't making a whole lot of sense. I know I'm kind of jibber-jabbering all over the place, but I'm having fun. That's all that matters, right? Hopefully you guys are learning something. All right, see y'all in a bit. All right, well, here's the bike kind of in its mocked up stage. I did have the axle spacers. I got all those measured. Had Justin cut me axle spacers on both sides as well as the front. So we are completely spaced and everything is nice and lined up and centered. He made those for the bike and also machined this rear pulley. Like I was saying before, the diameter on the sill bearing is a little bit larger than what the Timken bearing is, so just had to make that hole a little bigger. So man, it is low back there. Like I rolled it out into the street and it was a little sketchy getting down the driveway. So we'll see what happens. Right now the fender, if you notice, the fender is actually, it's got a little bit of a gap here, and it doesn't really match with the wheel shape. So what I'm going to do is I still have to drill that very last hole on the fender strut. I still got to drill that hole. All the other holes are in there. I'm actually just going to kind of elongate them so I can slide the fender forward, and that should kind of fill that gap and make it look much more bueno. Like I said, we weren't trying to put a lot of money into this bike, so just using what we had. It's going to have matching brake rotors front and rear. We're just going to do late model rotors, and I don't think we're going to lower the front end. I think the bike will just kind of have this stance for a little while, and like Justin was saying, down the road he might do another version of this thing, but he just wanted to get this thing looking a little better, a little cooler while it sits in the garage. I think we accomplished it. It definitely has a really cool look. As far as the first video on this bike, we'll just end it here, and then we'll pick back up. We'll get the fenders back from paint and the brakes on and all that other little stuff, and kind of take you guys along for that portion. So I'll probably add it in with like another video, but I'm really stoked on this thing. I think it's super cool, and I really truly do want one of these bikes for myself. I'm stoked to see it with the fender kind of fitting a little more proper and painted. I think it's gonna be sick. Polar ride this weekend coming up. Justin's currently at the MVP show in Kentucky right now, so we'll get some footage, a couple little clips of that, and then maybe we'll see you guys in Daytona. Hope you guys will like this. I hope you guys are enjoying something a little different than just the FXR and kind of modern day bagger content that we've been putting out. Hope you guys like this, and because I definitely do, and I hope to get to do more fun stuff like this. Yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Y'all take care. Peace.